This is the Mercedes CLE. It's a brand new car that replaces the E-Class Coupe, the E-Class Cabriolet, the C-Class Coupe and the C-Class Cabriolet. And there could be a 700 horsepower AMG version on the horizon as well. But is it a mistake to combine all these cars into one? Or is it a game-changing move from Mercedes that will give BMW and Audi a few sleepless nights? Well, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this new car. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Buy, sell,
Car Wow.
The whole point of a coupe is that it should look sportier and more elegant than a normal saloon. And I reckon Mercedes has nailed it with the front of the new CLE. The grille is larger and rounder than the one on the C-Class, and it doesn't have any weird black trim like on the new E-Class. The CLA's headlights are thinner and much sharper than on those cars as well. And I really like the new alloy wheel designs. They have absolutely loads of shiny spokes, typical for Mercedes, and they range in size from 18 to 20 inches. I'm not so sure about the overall silhouette of the new CLE though. It looks a little bit too similar to the old C-Class Coupe. Sure, the new CLE has a pair of creases above the wheel arches instead of one big line like the two-door C-Class, but that seems like a very subtle change considering this is supposed to be a completely new car. But there are plenty of differences underneath the skin, which I'll tell you about in a bit. And the new CLE looks very different from other Mercedes cars round the back. It's all very simple, but I think this is a good thing. I'm a little bit bored with the fiddly brake lights on recent Mercedes. The pixelated lights on the new C-Class don't match the car's curvy body, and the three-pointed star graphics on the E-Class are a little bit too chintzy. But what do you think of this new CLE? Do you like it, or would you prefer something like an Audi A5 or a BMW 4 Series? Let me know by voting in the pinned comment. The new Mercedes CLE comes with a range of 4 and 6-cylinder engines, both petrol and diesel, all with a mild hybrid system. And they all get a 9-speed automatic gearbox as standard as well. Entry-level cars come with a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine and a 23 horsepower electric motor. But you can also get a bigger 3-litre 6-cylinder engine in the top specification CLE 450. Mercedes has also confirmed it will build a plug-in hybrid CLE in the future. And you can bet this car will get the same system as the new E-Class with a 129 horsepower electric motor and a 25 kilowatt hour battery pack. This should give it around 60 miles of electric only range, which is more than most plug-in hybrid cars can do. And the motor should be capable of driving the car alone at speeds of up to 87 miles an hour without needing any help from the petrol or diesel engine. So, what sort of performance can you expect from this new sporty coupe? Well, there won't actually be anything particularly racy about the 200 horsepower CLE 220 diesel. That rear-wheel drive car does 0 to 60 miles an hour in a respectable 7.5 seconds. Go for an all-wheel drive 4MATIC version of the C200 petrol and it'll also take the same 7.5 seconds to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour, which is the same time as the new E200 E-Class, which has an equally powerful 204 horsepower petrol engine. Most people in the United Kingdom will be perfectly fine without all-wheel drive though, and the standard rear-wheel drive CLE 200 is a 1/10 of a second quicker to 60 miles an hour than the 4MATIC. That means it will do 0 to 60 in 7.4 seconds. Wow! The more powerful versions of the CLE come with all-wheel drive as standard, however. The CLE 300 has 258 horsepower and it accelerates from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 6.2 seconds. But the quickest version of the CLE from launch will be the 450. It has 381 horsepower, which means it can do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.4 seconds. Inside, the new CLE looks very similar to the new C-Class. You get a sweeping dashboard design with 3 large air vents in the centre above a big portrait touchscreen. The steering wheel on the CLE is very similar to what you get in the C-Class though, and so is the interior ambient lighting. You can get a range of different seat trims and materials depending on which model you go for. Mercedes will fit man-made fabric covered seats as part of the standard avant-garde trim, but if you go for a sportier AMG line interior, you get new seats with perforated faux leather. You can mix up the cabin with some beige, black or brown seat trims, but I prefer a few more colours to choose from. At least you can get the CLE seats with their own climate controls, and you can pay extra to get 7-way massage functions if you go for the Energising Plus pack. And there's an option to upgrade the stereo to a Burmester surround system with extra speakers in the headrests. The new CLE is a replacement for the coupe and cabriolet versions of the E Class and the C Class. The last bit is important. Why? Because you could get both two-door versions of the C Class as AMG 63 models with a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine. Mercedes hasn't confirmed whether there'll be an AMG CLE 63 yet, but don't rule it out. If this car does go on sale, it certainly won't get a twin-turbo 4-litre V8 like the old C63 though. And it might not come with the same 2-litre hybrid system as the new AMG C63 either. It's more likely that the new AMG CLE 63 will get the same turbocharged 6-cylinder petrol engine that AMG is developing for the forthcoming E63. This engine is expected to produce about 500 horsepower on its own, but there'll also be an electric motor on the rear axle to add another 204 horsepower into the mix, just like with the new 680 horsepower C63. However, a new AMG CLE 63 could have even more power than the C63. Expect over 700 horsepower. If you want to see more about the latest cars from AMG, click on the pop-out banner that should be appearing in the top right-hand corner of the screen right now, or follow the link in the description below to watch my in-depth review of the new AMG S63. The new Mercedes CLE is 2mm lower than the old E-Class coupe, but it's also 15mm longer, and that car wasn't exactly small. Most of this extra space has been used to make the back seats even more comfortable than in the old two-door E-Class, and that was one of the roomiest posh coupes you could buy. The new CLE also comes with over 5cm of extra shoulder room in the back and almost 4cm more elbow room than the old E-Class coupe. Boot space is pretty much on a par with the old E-Class coupe though. You get 420 litres of load space, which is enough for 3 sets of golf clubs. As well as a coupe, you'll also be able to get the new CLE as a convertible with a folding soft top. Mercedes hasn't said though how this roof mechanism will affect rear passenger space, or boot space for that matter, but don't expect it to be quite as practical as the standard coupe. This new convertible will also be slightly heavier than the coupe too, so it'll be a bit slower from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Regardless of which version of the CLE you go for, as standard, you'll get a similar infotainment system as the new C Class. That means a 12-inch landscape driver's display and a separate portrait touchscreen on the centre console. Mercedes hasn't confirmed whether you'll be able to get the new CLE with the optional super screen interior from the E-Class. This replaces the whole dashboard with a massive pane of glass with an embedded touchscreen. Even without this new full-length touchscreen, the CLE system isn't exactly short on technology. It comes with 5G connectivity to run a load of pre-installed apps. You can browse TikTok, stream music and videos, make calls over Zoom, and play Angry Birds, if anyone actually still plays Angry Birds these days. You can also use the Hey Mercedes feature to control smart devices in your house, so you can turn up your central heating before you get home. You can also unlock the whole system using a fingerprint scanner and voice recognition, which is probably handy if you plan to lend your car to anyone else. You don't want them controlling your washing machine at home while they're driving your car, do you? The new CLE is supposed to be a sportier alternative to the standard C-Class and E-Class, so Mercedes has made a few changes to make sure it feels a bit more exciting to drive. For starters, it comes with suspension that's 15mm lower to the ground than in the E-Class saloon. You can also get it with optional adaptive dampers and rear-wheel steering to make the car feel more agile in tight corners. This setup also makes it more manoeuvrable and therefore easier to drive in town. Go for a CLE with rear-wheel drive and rear-wheel steering, and the turning circle is just 10.7 meters. That's half a meter less than a standard C-Class saloon. Mercedes has also given the new CLE plenty of driver assistance systems as standard, including adaptive cruise control and active lane keeping assistance. Finally, Mercedes, it's standard, like it should be. The new Mercedes CLE will go on sale in Europe in November this year, and the Cabriolet will follow in 2024. The first UK cars will arrive a little later on. But how much will they cost? Well, the new CLE replaces the C-Class and E-Class coupes, but don't expect it to split those two cars evenly on price. Considering how much tech the new CLE has, there's a strong chance it will set you back from around £50,000, and that's about the same as an entry-level E-Class saloon. You'll find out for sure when Mercedes confirms official pricing later this year. I hope you'll enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you want to watch some more videos, I've picked a couple out for you there I think you'll like. Just click on those windows to watch them. Or if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. You can do that just by hitting the CarWow logo there. Simple.